Hi. Oh, hold on. Hi. Hi, this is Editing Danny. I am so upset right now. If you're wondering why this video is in black and white, the saturation and everything just messed up. I don't know what happened. I edited everything. I spent hours editing it, and then I exported it, and I went to upload it, and it was weird. I don't know what happened. Like, this is the first time something like this has happened to me. Just pretend that the black and white is some sort of artistic choice. I know it sucks. I know it's not great, and I'm not happy with it, but I have spent hours trying to color correct and get the footage back to its original form, and I just can't. I can't. Like, it's too far gone, so I am just gonna have it be black and white. So I hope you enjoy it anyways. I'm very upset, and hopefully next episode will be less of a bad experience. Bugs are cool. I love bugs. I have a bug tattoo right here on my arm. It is a cockroach, but all bugs see me as is a big, meaty breeding and feeding ground for their young. Sad. One-sided relationship. Horrible situation. But it's actually super useful for forensic scientists. Hi there, I'm Danny. I'm online and I'm trapped behind your screen. Have you been getting back into Candy Crush? Isn't that game like 10 years old? I have two, it's okay. Before anything, I'm gonna do my warning. This video contains potentially graphic or disturbing content. Some of the topics I will be talking about in this video could be triggering or upsetting for viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Today we're gonna be talking about forensic entomology, which is bug stuff. So if you're not into bug, creepy, crawly, gross things, and decay, as always, it's always gonna involve decay here, so if you don't like that, this probably isn't for you, I'm sorry. Forensic entomology has been around a really long time, but our awareness and our use of it has greatly increased with the turn of the century, because we really kind of realized in the forensic science community how useful it is and how it can really help determine a lot of super specific factors. Super specific factors are like geographical location, time of the year, the season, and even the time of death, which is very important, especially in a murder case. You can also get DNA evidence. I always forget that one. The first documented use of forensic entomology is in a forensic manual entitled The Washing Away of Wrongs from 13th century China, which is a super bad name. That's kind of metal. The Washing Away of Wrongs. No, that's kind of emo. Sad. Washing away of wrongs. It's really important to know what species of insect that you're working with for forensic entomology before anything else. The two primary insect families from the fly group, which is going to be our main group because flies, maggots, that's going to be usually what you find on a body. The two primary insect families from the fly group, Diptera, that's the fly group, of medicolegal importance, so their importance for forensics, are blowflies, which are family Californidae, and flesh flies, which are family Sarcophagidae. There are also other insects that can be involved, but they're not as important as flies. Flies are going to be the most important ones, I think, and the most recognizable, but there are also a lot of beetles and stuff like cockroaches, ants, a lot of household insects, stuff that you can find in a house. They will chomp at you. The most common use of forensic entomology is to determine the post-mortem interval or time of death based on the progression of the life cycle of the insects. This involves the application of temperature-dependent development of the insects. What I mean by temperature-dependent development is that insects generally develop faster as the temperature rises, and they also develop slower as the temperature gets colder. It's a little too chilly for them. They don't like it, just like me. You have to take into consideration the temperature of the environment in the specific species and how they develop in order to get your timeline and figure out how long the person has been dead and the generations and all that stuff. This information is especially important for murder cases because the time of death is crucial in a murder case. The most common group of insects used for the specific application of the postmortem interval are blowflies, which I mentioned before, Califoridae. California girls. On the North American continent alone, there are 90 different species of blowflies, which is overwhelming. That's a lot. So you have to be able to, like I said before, you have to be able to determine what species you're working with. There are about, from the 90, we can narrow it down to 40 species that are available for use in PMI estimation. And I think that's because those 40 types will colonize human bodies after death, post-mortem, for lunch, a snack. Not every type of blowfly or every type of insect is going to colonize the body or chomp away at you, but a lot are. Blowflies are usually the first insects to colonize dead animals, sometimes within seconds to minutes after death, depending on the temperature of the environment. Like I said before, the hotter it is, generally the faster they're going to develop, and the colder it is, the slower they're going to develop. So here's a super duper quick rundown of the blowfly life cycle. Stage 1, the egg stage. It's an egg. Number 2, the first larval instar. This is when it's just a tiny little post-hatching baby maggot. 3, the second larval instar. The same maggot is getting a little bit bigger, a little bit chunkier, it's starting to develop a little bit more. Number 4 is third larval instar. The same maggot is even bigger and he's more developed and he's starting to have those little chompers on his face. You can really see those. 5 is the migrating larval stage, where it's a big chunky meaty guy. Big meaty maggot. Big dude. 6 is the pupaриal stage, where they get in that like really dark cocoon shell thing and they're developing into an adult. 7 is the adult stage, which is the annoying fly that you can never get out of the apartment. There he is. Yeah. If the species of blowfly, the life stages, and the temperatures are known, a time estimation of initial colonization can be determined. So if you find, generally the way that they could determine past generations, from what I remember from my classes, is the pupas that are left behind, because they do leave the shell behind, based on the age of those, because they kind of shrivel up as they age, and how many there are, and you know, how shriveled up they are. They can tell how many generations there are, and based on how many generations and what the current life stage of the current generation of maggots is, then you can kind of tell the cycle. Because I think the life cycle, I'll look it up and I'll write it here. I think it takes about like a week or something. Like, it's really fast. Houseflies are the ones that I'm thinking of, I think. It's been a while, I'm sorry, don't listen to me. Most research studies indicate that blowflies are not really active at night. They sleep. Oh, sleepy. This is insane. It's possible to determine a location of death of an individual by using insect evidence, because insects have ranges of geographic distributions in which they reside. So it's basically like, think of the best and a really recent example that I can think of is the cicadas that all were coming up from underground that everyone was freaking out about, but how I remember seeing maps and it was like, they're only in these regions. So if you're in these regions, there's going to be cicadas everywhere. All bugs have different specific regions that they're in that you can pinpoint based on the species. For example, there's this super duper specific type of fly. This one type of blowfly species only exists within about 50 miles of Gore, Idaho. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. At elevations of 3,500 feet or more, and only from July 1st to July 20th. That is, if you're planning on committing any crimes, don't do it in that specific area. because it'll be extremely, extremely obvious. Blowflies are usually the first insects to find a body and begin colonizing it, which is laying eggs, which is why they're so important and why we look at them the most, and they're the most recognizable. Also, when you look at a body, there's usually maggots and stuff. Like, that's what people think of. Blowflies. Not only is the blowfly's life cycle something that provides us with a lot of evidence, but the specific places they are most concentrated on the body are really important too. Blowflies cannot penetrate human skin unless it's opened up or decomposing. The normal sequence of decay for animals and humans is the same. So it starts in the face, and then the pelvic area, and then the neck, and they kind of both like move up towards each other. Basically, the decay process is going to start at any orifice or like soft open place that they can get in there and lay eggs. So you have orifices in both of those areas. The eggs are going to start there, and it's going to work its way down to your abdomen. Unless you have a wound or an opening somewhere else. And that's why that's important, because if we show up and it's the decay process is still only like on your face, or maybe starting in your pelvic area, it's still pretty early in decomposition, but there's also a ton on your chest, in the middle of your chest. It's like, yeah, this is not adding up. There's not a natural orifice there. Obviously, the bugs are eating the body, so they leave marks, they leave little chomp, little bites, and they have material in their systems, like human material. But that flesh and body material that's inside of the insects can be used to extract DNA or find various chemical compounds that were in the body at the time of death, which is really important, especially if there isn't a lot of the person left and you don't have much to test. You can get like blood type, DNA, figure out if there's any chemical compounds, any like drugs or poisons or stuff in the body from the inside of the bugs, which is good job, bugs. Great job. The marks that insects leave are also very distinctive, so you have to know how to identify them, but I'm not going to show any here. It's gross, and I didn't take a lot of notes on that because it's a whole different thing. But yeah, that's about it. Short episode, short topic. Not much to talk about here, but bugs are cool. You should let them eat you when you're dead, not when you're alive. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you subscribe and hit the bell button if you would like to hear or see more, and that you leave a like or a comment. Any engagement is good engagement, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it if you watched this far. Thank you. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram. I don't have any other socials. But yeah, follow me on all of these sites, social media apps, whatever you use, and tell me my makeup looks good. And this wig, this is my natural hair. I'm sorry. I did Freudian slip or something. This is my real hair. That's it. Danny's offline.